we will begin by lesson 1. So basically what we learned is how to pour concrete, except they didn't give us any actual technical skills, they just helped us to figure out the math, right? So let's just walk through the steps, roughly speaking, for what we learned on Friday, or Richard. If you're talking to Richard, it's Sunday before that.
Is it bad if I don't remember how to use it?
That's why we're doing reading. All right, so we have us a path. It's 10 feet by 20 feet, and I'm going to pour it 4 inches thick. And we want to know how many yards of concrete we need for that. All right, what are our steps? What are we going to do?
V equals LW.
Say what? V equals something.
LW.
LWH, you're correct. All right, so length times width times height. So here's the problem. Is if you go length times width and then multiply by 4, we're going to run into troubles. So we've got to use different math.
What's it?
Notice. Now participating. What's the different math we have to use in order to figure this out?
What are we doing?
Trying to find how much concrete we need for this situation. How's it going, Cody?
So is 20 the feet?
Yes. This is 20 feet.
So you
This is
go
10
V
feet, this is
equals
4 inches.
20
Okay.
times 10 times 0. It has to be a fraction, but
Times 4 divided by 12.
yeah, times 20 by 12.
Okay, 4 divided by 12.
So 2 divided by.
Thing is, you can totally turn that into a different fraction here. 4 over 12, you can reduce that to minus
1
12.
over 3.
1 over 3, precisely. So change 4 over 12, you get 1 over 3, such.
And when you do that as a decimal.
Not necessarily. What's the decimal equivalent of 1/3?
Well, I went 4 over 12, then went 3 over 4, and we put 75.
4 over 12 is not 3 over 4. You know what's taking out on that. No, it isn't. Much, much different result. Especially now that I mentioned it to you. You can use a calculator, correct?
Yeah.
Use it. All right. So what we can do here is just multiply by 1, divide by 3, right? Perfect. So what do we have?
200.
200.
Times 1 divided by 3.
So we don't need the 1, we can just divide by 3, right? Perfect. So 200 divided by 3. That's our answer in.
66.
All right. Let's sort this out. Everybody up, out, around the building once.
Oh no, oh no, oh no.
Shots.
I like stuff function.
Run, run.
Uh-oh, where's Richard? Where's Richard at?
You just made it worse.
Probably hiding.
Go right there.
Owie. Turns out concrete is slippery. At times.
I don't think that.
Say what?
It made me worse.
brain a little. We can always hope. So, right. We're trying to figure out the volume of this situation. We're trying to figure out how much concrete you have to order for this. And we're on the very edge of figuring out how many cubic feet are in this pad.
66.667.
All right, let's round that to the nearest foot.
67 feet.
All right, 67 cubic feet. All right, but we still don't know how many yards that is. What do we do to figure out how many yards that is?
Divided by 27.
Divided by 27. Would you do the honors? Why do we divide by 27?
It's 2.481481481481.
Alright. Round that to the tenths.
2.5.
2.5 cubic yards.
That's a lot of concrete.
Well, depending on how you look at it.
No, that's
What is it? You know what a concrete truck hauls? Is it 18 yards? That's a gravel truck. Gravel truck, 18 yards. 11 yards. So, you have to do a few of those before you have a full concrete truck out. Yep. Yeah, I think you're right. It is 11 yards.
It's all like 12 or something.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway. All right. The answer to number 1 on page 3 is 6.5 cubic yards.
Did we do all these in class?
We may have. I don't know. Your formula is length width times height. So on and so forth. We need to have the formula. Number 2 is 1.1 cubic yards. Same formula. How's it going? We got troubles. And number 3 is 10 cubic yards. All right, number 4. Your pairs are 0 and 2, 1 and 4, 2 and 6, 3 and 8. You need to have at least 3 formulas. And you need to have your line going from the intersection of 0 and 2 through 3 and 8. With D dots in between. So something like, which line is this?
X.
X line here, the Y line here. And which number is always first in your ordered pair?
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is the, which number is this? That's for which coordinate?
The X.
The X coordinate. This one's for the Y, right? So your first one should be on 0 and 3 up here. And then you should have 1, 2, 3, 3 and 8. Up there, and line 0.
2, 0, 3,
Yeah. It's 3 and 8 though. These are 3 here and 8 here. Make sure you have that correct. All right. 5A is 10. B is 0. There's 5 zeros after the decimal. So 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. 1. And then C is 1,000. Plus 6A is X is greater than 2, so you should circle the 2 with a line to the right.
I have that right, but I have a symbol. Not. I have that wrong, actually.
So the big side needs to be pointing toward the X.
I have it.
Good. 7A, 2 squared times 3 squared times 5. B, 2 times 3 squared times 5. And C is 2 cubed times 3 squared. D is 2 cubed times 3 squared times 5 with an LCM of 360.
I have 3 cubed instead of 3 squared.
Well, that would be the 1 point for that one. What's your LCM? 360 or something else? Yeah. So So those blanks are 1 point apiece. 8A is 10,890, and B is 7.5 quarts. 9 is median, 10 is hypotenuse, 11 irrational, 12 variable exponent, 13 area of the base, 14A, D equals RT, B 128 fluid ounces, 15 16 and 2/3%, B 11, C 27, D 64. 16A 72.583, and B 49 plus 15 plus 8 plus 0 equals 72. 17. A, your answer should come to 1. And B, your answer should come to -10. You have a positive 10?
I have positive 5.
Me too.
5 times -2 is what they have.
Not there.
So they had,
How can I get
first
5?
thing they simplified was the 9 minus 4. So they had 10 divided by 5 plus 2. And 10 divided by 5 is 2, so 2 plus 2.
They can't have that because if there's a minus sign in there somewhere, they can't have it. Like I have everything right, but you can't have the times there because there's a -2 there.
That's all right.
You can't have times in
Yeah, you can. So they have like this, 5 times -2. Right?
You can't do that.
Yeah, you can actually. This is basically, think of it like this: 5 times -2. Have they talked to you about multiplying negatives? I feel like they should have. They haven't.
I know what happened.
So 5 times -2 is -10.
But you told us that if there's like a negative in there or minus in there.
It made sense when I did it.
Yeah, it makes
I
sense to
went,
me
when
when
I
did
did
it.
it, I went 10 divided by 5 equals 5.
Oh, yeah,
That
that,
I was right.
yeah, that'll screw it right up. Oh, all right, 18A. The hypotenuse is 17, so 17 equals C. And B, A equals 8.3. 19, $1.36. B, $12.23.
What? How is that even possible?
So it decreased 10%. Did you go up?
I went down.
So one.
Okay, I gotta check on that. So, the number 1 was what? Or the
A is 1.36.
Okay, I had that.
And then you should have subtracted 136 from 12, from 1359, and that is
13.599.
if you have something close to that. What do you have?
Just the minus there.
Yep. You get that. 20 is $70.87. 21, your final answer is 43.96 centimeters squared. You have your formulas: A equals pi r squared, and area equals pi r length of our slant height. Pi r slant height.
Mr. Kent, I
Yes.
have no idea why I did this, but I put a dollar sign there instead of squared centimeters.
Okay, that's workable for today. It's a Monday. I'm trying to be nice. Let's start this week out on the right foot. 22A is 2 times 2 times 3 times 7. B is 2 times 5 times 7 with GCF 14. 23. The answer is 136.5 square feet.
I got 138.5.
I put a dollar sign on that one too. I have no idea why.
You were obviously a mad hurry. Okay, well you better just change that.
I have 138.25.
138.25. Everybody else have it right?
No, I have 114 feet squared.
How'd you do your math?
Very
What are
carefully.
your formulas?
A equals L W, and A equals half base 152 times 8.
You did the trapezoid thing.
Yeah.
What do you have? Lance?
114.
I have a whole bunch of formulas, they all make sense.
But they didn't work.
I got like, I thought it was too long. Seriously.
This one's 11.
I mean, today's the day to like, I mean, it's a
This
Monday.
one's 7. This one's 6. This one's 14. Alright, so if you the length of this is obviously 14 as well. What's the length of this line right here?
5.
Perfect. Alright, so first we go area equals length times width, which is 14 times 6, yes. What's 14 times 6?
Mr. K, you can just do the whole thing and then subtract the triangle.
I know. Is that the way you did it?
Yeah.
Did you get it right?
Yeah.
Good. This is the other way. This is the way they have it in the book. I honestly would have done it your way, to be real honest. Alright, so 14 times 6 is what?
I have 48.
48? That'd be 7 times.
No, 84.
7 times 12. So what's 7 times
7 and 12.
84.
12? You good with that 84? Alright.
Yeah, 84.
Perfect. So that's this. And then this, how do we do the math for this? What's the formula?
Trapezoid, so 1 half base 1 plus base 2 side.
Okay, what's your base 1?
7.
Okay, area equals 14 plus 7 is
No.
no.
3.
I don't know how Liz is doing her math this morning, but 14 plus 7 equals 11. She better go back to bed and try again. Alright, and your height is?
Let's see what I did wrong.
5.
You see what you did wrong? Alright. 1 half of 21 is going to be 11 and a half. Times 5 is going to be,
We cannot let 10 go.
yes, it's 10 and a half. You're right. Can't even do my math this morning either. Doesn't mean quit. Can't figure it out. 10 and a half times 5 is going to be 52.5. Yeah, great. Yeah, we good. All right. 24 is 3.1 cubic yards.
I have a lot.
And your total should be 5r squared and
We need to go tackle the
yeah, it's back to the 8 essentially.
Oh well, could have been worse. How?
It is
Correct, that's safe.
46, 47, 48, 49, 51, 53, 54, 55, 56, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67. Yeah. Oops. Sorry. At least today's lesson is really easy. What are we at? How many did you get, Richard?
8.
Ooh, 88.
Yeah.
Anybody else got theirs? 2, 97, yeah.
I have one.
You have to add them up? That's,
No.
what?
I have one.
You have yours figured out? Just for curiosity's sake, because I'm a teacher.
8.
8, oh yeah. You made yours, Cody? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right. So now we're the fun one. Grab your compasses.
Miranda has this issue.
Yours has an issue?
Yeah.
I may be able to supply you.
And I was like,
Let's
but I was smaller
this one will also start to function. All right, so here's the deal. We start with 3 lines. Now, the reason that you can't just use a ruler, which you can almost could, but it can be really inconvenient to just use your ruler
I know.
to make these because, I mean, basically it's going to be faster and more accurate to use a compass. Because the deal with the ruler, all you can do is a straight line. And we wind up trying to do what we're going to do here, and it's just, yeah, you can try if you want, but you're going to be disappointed. All right, so first things first. Grab your lovable little compass. Uncork it with your mind.
Uncork it.
I uncork my compass. And you just start with, I don't know, I usually start with my longest one. Just measure the length of your line, the longest line, and then you'll draw a line with your ruler like such.
Just a random line.
Yep.
Just wherever I want.
You have to measure the longest one first.
I usually do. It just makes life easier in general. All right. So now remember that you're starting from this side, right? Use this measurement that you measured here. Go to here and mark it. Whoop. Like such. Your next, take your next longest line. You don't have to, but that's the way I do it. Measure the length of that. Go from one of the ends and go walk like such.
Whatever I want.
I mean,
Can I do it like
basically-
way over here?
that's not going to help you out.
I don't know.
The deal is, so our next line is going to make an intersection right up here, right? So we have to keep that in mind. So this line means very little to us at this point. You can't, I mean, we know that it's the right distance from here to here, but we don't have any distance from here to here, right?
Are we making this little mark yet?
Okay, so Mr. Grant, I
So
got a
measure
problem.
this,
I
go
put,
from an end,
Mr. Grant, I put my line like way up here. Like, is that gonna cause me problems later?
it might.
So I want it to be.
Let me show you the third step, and then you
Right
can
here.
decide for yourself whether it's going to cause problems. All right? Here's the third step. You measure the last line. Go to here. And you have to, these lines have to intersect. So you go from the opposite side here of your line. So now you measure from this side to here, you measure from this side to here, right? Now, you just have to join them. So you draw a line from here to here with your ruler, and from here to here. And you drew this triangle, draw it from this end to this intersection right here. Made it where these lines cross is an intersection. So you drew it from this line to this intersection, and from this line to this intersection.
Oh, well, that doesn't cause problems.
Good.
So right, just try.
Perfect.
You can tell me if mine is right.
Yeah. No, that's.
It's like really big. You might erase first one.
Yeah, you can erase your extra lines if you wish. Perfect. See, now the next one, they give you actually just some lengths of lines, so you're going to need your ruler for this exercise as well.
This is ridiculous.
This is ridiculous. This is extremely. See,
On
that
Adventures with Odyssey, Jacques Andre, he talks in this horrible French accent. And he goes, he's like, maybe I misunderstood. The American accent is hard to understand.
And you all can say, ouch, that hurt like, how do you Americans say? Like Charles Dickens.
All right. So the next one, they actually just in this situation, you can grab your
Good grief, this is huge.
you can grab your
3
ruler
inches?
and your
Yeah, I'm thinking that.
thing.
Look at this.
Hang on.
Maybe I did 2 centimeters.
So
Yeah.
grab your ruler. Don't mark these lines out. 3 inches, 1 inch, or 2 inches. So what you do is you just measure up to your ruler, get you a 3-inch line.
Shoot.
All right, so now with a 3-inch line, draw your first line and
Yes.
mark it.
And draw me a 3-inch line.
All right. So now the cool thing about this one is since you have two 3-inch lines, you can just go like such, right?
Make a
So you can
circle.
just make it extra big,
Just make it a little extra big.
like a lot.
And this will give you both this dimension and whatever it's going to cross up here, right? You can get 2 3s. Now we have a 1-inch line. So you just go ahead and you adjust it to 1 inch. Go from this side, the side you haven't drawn from yet.
Now, actually, it's probably, I don't know how
Mr. Karen. Oh yeah, I do.
But I-
I'll write first.
No, you don't. Yeah. No, you don't quite.
Does mine look right?
So now you need to get a 1-inch measure. Is that 1 inch? Yeah, exactly. So you did it that way. You did exactly the same way.
I don't. That's how
Okay, no. So yeah, you first draw your line. And grab yourself your compass.
I'm hoping mine looks right. Do we have to name these?
No.
I always just think of Richard James there, RJZ,
RJZ.
because that's just the easiest.
Please make the word
So this one is sure missing that third line.
Third line.
Oh,
So this is a triangle, not just an angle, right? So you need to have that third line in here, right? So we did our first two. So here's the length of our first line. We just measure that out and then we erase. And then we draw the second line. In this situation, we have the 3 and the 3, right? This is the 3 inch, this is the 3 inch. Now we have to draw our 1-inch line, which we did between this dot and this one, right? So we use our compass to figure out the length of that one.
Is this one right there? Come down with these right.
Yeah, that looks correct. Yeah, you were just missing your last line. So.
Here we go. Show me how to do it because you have a
Okay. So first you draw your line, your first line. All right, now you measure the length of your first one. Perfect. Now draw the length, now measure the length of your second one. Good. So now this one I would drop down here, to be real honest, because the cherry, yeah, so the
Why don't you?
no, he doesn't matter, he's just trying to triangle, no matter where you go up or down. And then your next one, you just measure your length. There, and measure it from the other end. Right there. Well, it looks like you ran a little short on your second one. There you go. So now you use those 3 points.
Then you go like 20. Don't you go like?
Yep.
And then you go this right, this one,
Yep.
the bigger one.
The bigger one, yeah, because that was the first one.
Or not the bigger, the one.
There you go. Yes, sir.
I have a program.
Oh, me too.
So
Don't
right
be
here,
worried about my problems.
so it says 18 inch, so normally, so I got a bunch of these wrong.
Okay.
Well, actually all of them. So, I'm
All right,
trying
we'll
to-
talk about
I
it.
do this.
Oh,
So
I'm
it
working
says-
on that today. I'm
So
gonna work on it.
last time I just slapped in all the measurements, I just did it.
Yep.
And I also, just like that would be 1/6. instead of doing now 1.5 times that, divide it, times 1.
You use
divide by
decimals.
6.
But it can be,
I use the decimal on all the times.
yeah, it's, sometimes it's better off, generally speaking, it's gonna be better off to work it like a fraction. So what a fraction means what? What does that mean?
Division.
Right, 1 divided by 12 in this situation. I really want Leah to come back too, she can work on this with us.
Yeah, let's just do that one in class, it's really fun.
It's not that hard. It's just a little
Yes.
complicated and a little different.
Yeah, whatever.
Alright. Yeah, we're going to do number 4 here. So what we're going to do first is let's draw a sketch. Alright? Kind of figure some stuff out. So we have a sidewalk and we have some stones. So we're at 120 feet long, right? And this is how wide? This is the stones here. This is also stones. Say what?
3 inches thick.
No, I want to know how wide it is. How wide is the border?
18 inch.
So we have an 18-inch border here, and we have an 18-inch border here. All right. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're using all the same units
Why did they
when
have to put
we're
this?
doing this kind of stuff.
Why did they have to put this stone thing right in the middle?
All right. So we have stone on both sides of the concrete, and we have concrete in the middle, which oh yeah, we don't have to worry about. All we have to what we're worrying about here first is how much it takes to cover that just one side.
Just
of
one
this.
side.
To start with, that's the first part
And
of
then
the
you
question.
times that by
So it says draw a sketch of it, and then we'll figure out what it takes for one side, and then we multiply that by 2, right? So how deep are they going with this?
You drew a sketch of it, so.
You can go ahead and draw one as well. How deep are they going with this?
2 inches.
2 inches deep. All right, what's our formula?
A equals over B.
A equals L WH, actually, because it's 2 inches deep.
What?
LWH.
V.
V equals LWH. All right, so here's the deal. We have to make sure we're using all the same units, right? So we're probably going to convert this to feet, right? Doesn't make the most sense. It's the easiest way to add here, to multiply, is to have everything in feet. So let's start here with this. Let's convert 18 inches to feet. Volume equals
18 divided by
1.1.
yeah.
Or 1.5, I mean.
yes. So 18 inches converted to feet is 1.5 feet, right?
Times 120.
Times 120, that's feet already,
Not length was first.
doesn't matter. Times
Divided by
height, which is going to be, so
1
our
divided by
depth,
12.
our depth is right
No, 1
here.
divided by 6.
1 divided by 6.
1 over 6, right? It's 2 over 12, so we're going to write it here. 1 over 6, or
1 divided by 6.
1 times 1 divided by 6 would be the other way to write it.
It's
All right.
just prove it.
First things first, 1.5 times 120 is
180.
180.
180 times 1 divided by 6. Now we don't have to multiply by 1,
So you
so
just
we'll just go ahead and divide by
six.
6. So the volume of 180 is how many cubic feet?
30.
30.
30 cubic feet. Now we need to know how many yards of stone, right? And we're going to round to the nearest 10, I think. Yes. So how many yards of stone round to the nearest 10th? Leah. So we have 30 cubic feet, we need to know how many cubic yards.
You got 1.111.
Okay, so our magic number rounded to the nearest 10? Right. How did you get that number, by the way?
I went remember that you got the 1.5 times, I got 30 divided by 27.
30 divided by 27, that's correct, so you get 1.1. All right, so that's the answer for A. And for B, to cover both sides of the sidewalk,
Just be 2.2, which could be just times it by
you
2.
multiply it by 2.
So,
That's
so
correct.
2.2.
Good.
We have to use proportions for double dividing, right? 'Cause I don't know.
Yes. 1/2 of 93.
It says if necessary. Do you actually think you
Yes.
use a half, a proportion to find out a half of something?
1/2 of 93, write it like that.
So you just basically do 92 divided by 2.
Oh, bingo.
Or something like that.
You can't do it on a calculator though. You know, that calculator's for 5 and 6.
5.
All right, algebra. Ladies, we're all as we are, we're here.
For number 17 in today's lesson, can you combine 1 and 3 and turn it into like 4? 1 and 3.
Where? What?
Number 17 on today's lesson.
I don't know why.
Let's talk about that one quick. So we have 7, 8. Let me make sure that this thing is not lying to me just because I just. You used just 7 for the GCF?
Yeah, because
Um,
7, 35, and 21.
Well, I have 7 and 8.
Yeah, so here's the deal. 7a squared b minus 35a squared b squared plus 21ab. All right, so they're
A
using.
squared on the end of
Right. So obviously the GCF in this situation is going to be 7ab or a squared b, right?
Yeah.
Which means that this one is changed to a 1. This one gets changed to a 5,
Negative.
5b, right, negative 5b, all right? And this one gets changed to a,
3.
I don't know why you're doing that.
I'm sorry, I'm
Switch,
I'm away.
I got it.
You got it now? You understand what's going on?
Yeah, you asked now what my question was, did
So-
you add your 1 and your 3 together? Did you combine? Oh, I see what you're saying.
You're saying your 1, 5b
It would be negative
plus
5.
3. This is what you're saying.
Do you combine your 1 and your 3? That's what I'm asking.
Okay, yes.
Okay. Negative 5.
Right, so you have 7a squared b negative 5b plus 4.
Well, I have 4 minus 5b.
That would also work. All right, let's check today's lesson for yesterday's lesson. Number 1, 4x cubed minus x squared plus 29x plus 24. Number 2, x cubed plus 1. Number 3, 2y cubed minus 9y squared minus 10y plus 12. Number 4, 12x cubed plus 2x squared minus 17x plus 5. Number 5, x cubed minus 2x minus x squared plus 3x plus 5. Number 6, 4z to the 4th plus 4z cubed plus 3z squared minus 2z plus 6. Number 7. You should have x is equal to or less than negative 5, or x is greater than negative 1.
It's -5.
Yes.
So,
It says here anyway. Like I said, I don't trust anything this book throws at me
It
anymore.
is negative 5, I believe.
I have 5 and -1.
Yeah, it's -5. I mean, -5, -1.
What if my signs are switched around? Would they be fine? Or do you just count one?
I was counting that as 1 point.
Okay.
Number 8, 15 is equal to or less than 6x, equal to or less than 50. So 15, x, 50. All right, number 9, the graph should have a circle on the 3 and a dot on the 10 with a line between them. There's a conjunction. Number 10 has a circle on the 3, line to the left, arrow to the left, and a dot on the 10, arrow to the right. That is, what do you call that instead of conjunction?
I have the one that arrows the wrong way again.
You say what?
I have the arrows the wrong way again.
Oh, yeah, the arrow, you have them pointing in again.
If I have 3s on that side.
So how did you have your, okay, we're gonna have to have a conversation about that. We don't have time right now, unfortunately. 11, y to the 5th over x squared. 12 is 8 to the 5th.
I have y squared over x to the 5th. Did I just switch those two around or something?
Yeah, you were supposed to invert them because it started out as x to the -2 over y to the -5.
Yeah, I don't know.
13, your answer is 1 over 12 to the 4th. 14, answer is 3x, outside the parentheses, times 6x squared plus 2x plus y. 15, 9xy outside the parentheses, times 2x squared plus 3y. This is 9xy.
I have you there, you right there.
You have 2x squared plus 3y.
No, I have 6x squared plus 9y. That's what I have too.
Right now, no. Because of both divisible by 9, you have to go to the greatest common factor. You can do another bigger one, you can go to the bigger one. 16, 2xy outside the parentheses, 12y minus 3x plus 1. 17, your ordered pairs should be -1, -6, and -4, -2, and 2, -10. And that's, let me see. Your graph should look something like this. Similar points like that. Number 18, your ordered pairs should be -9, 6, and 9, 5. And your graph should look something like such, with a point, and a point, and a point. 19, y equals 6, 20k equals 3, 21x equals 8, 22x equals -4, 23x equals 21. 24x equals -44, 25x equals 10, 26, 3 over 2, 27 is -7 over 15, 28, 61 over 44, 29 is 13 over 8, 30 is
I
1 over
have
4.
1 over 5 and.
You have 1 over what? You have 1 and 5/8? That's also okay.
What's 20?
For 29.
What is it?
For 30,
No, 21.
they have 13 over 8. If you have 1 and 5/8, it's also correct. 30 is 1/4, 31.
70 over 41.
You're 70 over 41?
No, 70 over 47.
For which one?
30.
And that's unfortunately incorrect. 31 is 13 and 1/8. 32 is 16. 33 is 4 over 5. 34. Eugene planted 75 acres of corn and 153 acres of oats.
I know I had 75 written down there, 73 here. But I don't remember what it
If you don't have your work and you can't prove it, I'm afraid we'll just kind of,
I have
153 acres
five
of oats. Oats, correct?
is. Yeah, I have that.
Okay, I'll take a half for that one. 35. Maria canned 36 jars of corn and 15 jars of beans. If you can find that in your work, then I'll give it to you.
What number was that one?
That was number 34. 36. 3x cubed plus 12x plus 15. 37. 8x cubed minus 5x squared plus 29x plus 12. And 38. 2y to the fourth minus 9y cubed minus 18y squared plus 30y minus 8.
It's really complicated when you have to use a little less than it's
Yeah, that is really inconvenient. That's why you should number it.
for. It is numbered, just not lessons.
Seven. There were 2 points, please.
As long as you're happy.
So we can 3 points.
How many are there for these?
2 points. So where were the struggles, Lisa?
I got 15, 16, 22, 24, 26, 27, 30, 31, 36, and 37, and then the half and 34.
Okay, you said 15, 16,
22 and 24. And there's one.
30, and 31.
Yep, and 36 and 37.
Alright.
I don't know what's going on. I looked the whole lesson after.
Yeah, your work doesn't do you too much good if you can't find it, unfortunately. But I will gladly give that one to you if you have your work. If your work shows a 75, transfer wrong. I don't know. It's very inconvenient to have your transfer wrong as well. Depending on the situation. X squared. X plus 4 times 8x plus 3. How do we do this? How do we multiply it all in the wheel?
They're all like either.
That's not good.
You go 3x squared times 8x times 3.
Let's do this. Because this seems to be a functional system. Alright, multiplying here. Let's move this guy down underneath. And we start by multiplying everything by 3. Ready? Lisa, 4 times 3.
Well,
That's positive 12. 3 times negative x.
maybe we get
3
Oh,
times
that
negative
one.
x.
negative 2x.
3x. 3x squared times 3.
X squared.
Alright, so now we'll start here with 8x, right? So 8x plus 4 is, multiply that.
Me?
Jersey.
Where are you at?
8 times 4?
32x.
32x. So you put this here under the x line. And
Negative 8x.
negative 8x squared. So you line that up here. And
24x cubed.
24x cubed. Now we just add them. We get
12.
this is going to be positive here.
29x.
This is going to be
X squared. Negative.
is it? Positive 9x
Positive.
and so that's how you multiply polynomials. And it doesn't matter. Basically, so here's the deal. If you were multiplying, notice how I'm just completely abandoning my system because I feel like this one's actually easier to teach in the long run. More consistent
I
process.
like the other one.
I like the other one too, personally, but this is not a terrible system. So if we have 6x squared plus 3x minus 4, and we want to multiply that by x squared plus x, how would we do that? Christy?
Negative 4x.
And
3x squared. 6. Positive. 6x cubed.
right? And then the next line here, we have x squared, so we would go
4x squared right away.
4x squared, and that would go where?
Under your 3x squared.
Right. Just line up the
And then
exponents.
3x.
The negative or positive?
Negative.
All right.
And then you have 3x cubed. And then you have 6x squared. And it's a positive right there.
This one is? Yeah, and then you just add them up. The important thing to remember is that you always line the exponents up.
I got 14, 15, and 16 all wrong. And the thing is they're actually right, but the number's just not big enough.
You didn't factor it by a big enough number.
Yeah, like they're actually right.
Is there one we can do for today? Yes, 16 and 17.
Mm.
Let's do.
We did
let's do-
17 already.
Let's do 16. All right. So what are we going to factor that by?
6 SU.
2.
That's what I have.
Right. We're going to have to factor it by 6SU. So factor the whole thing by 6SU. So I'm going to write.
See, I used 2, that's why.
No, you can't use 2. You have to use the biggest number. Take
Yeah,
all
but it
together.
came out right.
No, it did. It's number 14.
I had 6SU.
16? Oh, 6SU. No, because, no, you have to divide everything by 6.
I do have.
And it's 6 SU. 6 SU. See, I don't have my 2 in one spot.
13.
No, I have it right.
16.
I have 6 SU plus S squared T minus 2 T squared plus 6U. That's right.
So you'd have.
And I did it by 2.
You did
That's
divide
not
by 2.
This
It's
is what
6.
you'd have. That's
But then
what-
there's, see, there's
Your
2 and 3
answer
in all
should
of
be
them.
6SU.
Yeah.
So you didn't divide that by, that means that you're dividing everything by 6SU. Everything is
did.
divided by 6SU. You said you divided by 2.
I did it when I did location.
So you did it twice, is what you're telling me.
Basically. So I did it like that, and then those 2, there's 2 and 3 in each one, so it's 6.
Okay, you're doing that really backwards.
No, that's right. There's a 2 and a 3 and.
Well,
and
Yeah, I
all of
understand
them.
there's 2 and 3 in each
That's
one.
six.
You factor each one. Yeah, so that, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I'm sorry, I keep doing things in my head. And I forget that that's not the way to do it. Taking these shortcuts. So I factor things in my head, like almost always, unless it's a big number. So yeah, I forgot to do the factoring. But yes, it's 6SU, S squared T minus 2TU squared plus 6U. That's your answer. All right.
What is it again? What did you say?
6 SU times S squared T minus 2T squared plus 6U. All right.
Do we use
Slope.
graph paper for this?
Yes, this lesson we need graph paper. I believe. Unless they do everything without it.
I don't think
Okay, so here, we're going to talk here about slope of an equation, or of a graph, I guess, first. We're going to talk about an equation later. You can actually figure out with your equation what your slope is, of your line is, and also, and then just have to find one point and write in your slope, which sometimes is questionably ethical, other times it's perfectly fine. All right, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 5, 6, 7. So that's perfect. No, that's fine. All right. So, say for example, we have a line that starts here and all right. Rise over run. So our line here goes between these 2 points. We have a 3, 2, and we have a 5, 5. Looks like. And we have 3, 2. All right. So our rise in this situation, basically, the way we would express a slope is rise over run. Right? That's how you would express a slope. So in this situation, our rise is 3, right?
Yeah.
So rise of 3 and a run, which is this direction or this direction, doesn't matter. But run is on the x-axis, rise is on the y-axis. So rise over run would be 3 over 2, right? That is, in its simplest form, what it winds up being. You can also figure out what the slope is in the equation. Are they going to talk about this? I think so. No, not yet. All right. We're going to talk, there's 4 different types of slope, right? This, for example, is a positive slope. That means as you're looking from left to right, it would be like, say, think about a ball, right? We're going to put a ball on this slope. And as that ball goes this direction, because he can only go from left to right, he would be going up, which is positive, right? That's positive, we're going up. So that's a positive slope. If, for example, our line is like this, and this ball was on here, he would be going down, which is a negative slope. Now, when you express these, for example, you would write this as a negative number. So his rise is negative, right? So he's going to have a rise of like, it's going to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's going to have a rise of negative 7 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Negative 7 over 6. Right? So his rise is negative 7, his run is 6. He has a negative.
But
He has a
basically, whatever
negative
it's
rise,
kind of done in
negative
that
slope.
direction, it's negative.
This is a negative slope. This is a positive slope. Just think that ball can only go from left to right. It can only go in the direction you're reading, right? This situation is rolling down the hill. This situation is rolling up the hill. It's a positive slope. Negative slope, positive slope. You can also look at the numbers. If there's a negative on the top number and a positive on the bottom, that's going to be a negative slope. All right. there's also a zero slope. And there's a difference between a zero and an undefined slope. In that a zero slope simply is parallel to the x-axis, right? So here's a zero slope. And here, we would call this an undefined slope. Now, basically the deal is this one has no run, right? So if you were to express this in numbers, you just really can't. I mean, you could write 7 over 0, but it doesn't mean any different than if you would write 15 over 0, right? So this is an undefined slope. But this one, for example, here again, we have a 0. It's not raising, it's not lowering. 0 over 7 or 0 over 15, there's no real difference. The thing is, you're always looking at this number to determine whether it's positive or negative. Right? This number down here, this is always positive, or it should always be. Right? Because you can always read from left to right. So the bottom number should always be positive. If the top number is negative, it's a negative slope. If the top number is positive, it's a positive slope. The top number is 0, it's a
Zero slope.
0 slope. And if the bottom number is 0, it is a undefined. All right. So, supposed to determine the slopes of those lines. Remember that rise and reduce them if you can, right? So if you have, for example, a 4 over 2, you can reduce this to 2 over 1. You have to leave it like this in this situation so far. This be positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive.
What if you have,
But you can reduce them like a fraction.
what if you have 2 and
2 over 2, you reduce that to a 1 over 1. Because the rise is 1, the run is 1.
I don't remember one.
Sure. Okay, first things first, what's our rise? How much does the thing raise up?
2 over negative 2.
Bottom number is always positive, right? You can always read from left to right. Is this a positive or a negative slope, by the way?
It's a positive.
Right. So we just figure out the difference between those 2 points. Doesn't really matter where they are in this situation, right? Let me work this out for you.
Yeah, I thought it was supposed to. It's 3. The rise is 3.
For number 1?
Yes.
Right now.
It's not.
So we have a dot here, and we have a dot here, correct? Oopsie, my bad. 2 and 2. So this is where our line is going through. Right? So our rise is this distance right here. And that is going to be 2. And our run, which is this distance, is what? 2. So we can reduce that to 1 over 1. I'm not pretty sure that's how they're doing. I'm sure
So
they're not
you just
reducing it to
wrote,
1.
so you write positive slope 1 over 1. Is that what you read?
Let me see exactly what they're after. 14. Number 1. Come here, you Romans. We got 4. Number 15. There we go. Oh, they do reduce it to 1. Well, what a bunch of beggars.
Just to 1.
Yep. So basically, the slope of this is simply 1.
So the next one is the negative slope. Yeah, but I don't know how to
Okay.
find the rising one.
Okay, well, let's just go like this. All we have to do, let me think, we have
The rise
negative,
is
we
five.
have a negative 1,
five.
3. And we have a 2, negative 2. Right down here. All right. So what we do here, first thing, I'd like to find the rise first if I can.
Five.
The rise, we know that it's dropping, right? It's going to be a negative rise because if the ball was here, it would be going down the hill, right? Because it can only go that way. So we have a rise of,
Negative five.
Oh, can you say how you do it?
yeah, you go like this. This is supposed to be number 3. 3, 2, 1. All right. So basically, we just count the distance between here and here, right? That's our rise. The
This
distance between
side.
this point and this point is negative 5.
Oh,
There's five blocks between them, right? So if you were to look on your graph, there's 5 spaces between that top one and the bottom one, meaning the vertical,
okay.
right? So that's our rise. And because it's a negative rise, we're going to write it as negative 5. So that's where we'll start. Negative 5 is our rise. And our run, we kind of do the same thing. We figure out the difference between this and this. Our run is 3. So we would write this as negative 5 over 3, and we simply don't reduce it. We can't. It's impossible.
And then, how do you get 3 is 0? Okay.
Right, so the 3 is going to be a 0 slope.
Okay.
So you can actually just write 0 for that.
2, 3.
There is no rise.
Yeah.
On number,
Or like, well, when you're coming down, you just.
oh yeah, you're not seeing the dots?
Oh, I see. 5.
Right.
So this one is 0.
0 over 4, right?
Right, but it doesn't really matter. You just write 0.
You don't have to.
Right, you don't write 0 slope, you just write 0. If it would be vertical, then you would write undefined, I believe, which they don't really say.
Do we have one like that? Yep.
Yes.
46.
46.
Oh, we haven't done that.
Yeah, write down undefined for that situation. Let's do I want to do a couple more. Let's do maybe 44 and 45. Graph is getting full. All right. Number 44. X direction. 44. We have negative 3, negative 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I like how they keep it simple for us. All right, so we start here with a negative 3, and we go to a 4, negative 1,
Which one are
40.
they? Why don't they number these?
So what?
Why don't they number these?
I don't know, do something to it, Rebecca. You're saying as far as the number of their graph lines?
Well, yeah, I just mean on their graphs. Like, why?
I'm
Let us even go through the
not
whole
entirely
dot.
sure. All right, So-
Positive.
right, this is going to be positive because like I said, drop that ball on there, it can only go left to right. Can't go this way. It's not allowed to. It's a positive, but we figure out what's our rise.
2.
Our rise is 2. And our run is going to be, one way you can do this is you can do subtraction, right? So you can do a 4 or addition or whatever. 4 plus negative 3. Or 4 minus negative 3, I guess. Find the difference. Right, and our run is 7. So rise over run is going to be 2 over 7. And what about number 45?
It's negative.
It's going to be a go between the dots.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Right, so our rise is -4. And our run, Drusy?
Negative 2. Or just 2.
Just 2. Right. Just 2. So we would write that as -4 over 2. We can reduce that, which
Is 2 over 1.
2 over 1, -2 over 1, which we can reduce even farther. We can just call this
2.
-2. Perfectly functional. -47, like you?
What was 46? Undefined?
Yes. Wait, I'm going to find 46.
Yeah.
47? What
You
is
don't
our...
have to write any numbers for that?
No. What is our rise, Lisa, on 47? Between the dots. 5. You're close. No, it's 5. -5. There you go. Negative slope. And our run, Christy, 47.
Negative, and then just come through.
3, yes. So it's going to be -5 over 3. Can we reduce it?
No.
No, we can't. Okay. You can go ahead and skip 33 through 37. Actually, go through 39 if you want. 33 through 39. You don't have to do those today. Oh, it's not
Check
these.
it.
Yes.
I was just pointing out.
No, you're welcome. I have something I have to finish.
37, 39.
Yep. Christy, your turn? I think.
Can I pick friends recess out?
Yeah, I guess. I feel like I should make some rules about how I can pick free recess in the day. I actually don't like rules, so I'm not going to
Who's
today.
picking Christy, right?
Yep, she said free recess. What do you think? Reckon it'll work? Probably. Kinda cute though.
I actually didn't mind it. I didn't know I had
I minded it. I was cold and wet.
Oh, yeah.
I know. Would've been cool to walk.
I
I know.
just want to that folks kills everyone.
Is number 42 a negative one? I think so.
Hold on a second.
I see this video where this guy will play, like they did a corner kick and he couldn't quite reach it. So he just grabbed it with his hand and threw it down into the goal.
He went like this. He jumped up and just boom down in the goal.
He like jumped up like this and just like right there.
Was this the goalie or the opposing?
It was like perfect pass. It was just a little bit too high. Couldn't quite reach it.
Where's my
Just had it.
pencil?
Figured they're not gonna make it in from way back
Yeah, there's like nobody's gonna know. So just try this.
It's right there by that desk. Is this a negative?
Oh, I need help.
Is it a negative slope?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is the part of that.
Right. Alright.
We had some pretty good passes in that game. We just couldn't connect with the ball.
Did pretty good, just not good enough, huh?
Good, I just didn't hit it with the side of my foot.
I need help on
Like if you watch their slow-mo videos, they always go like this. If they put their feet like this, it was barely.
Yeah, I
they
know.
miss it.
Oh, I hit it with
Thanks. What? Are these caramel?
I had no clue. What chocolate?
They're probably white
So
chocolate.
did you know that Toby sent us that box?
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
What
Yeah,
box?
just go down
Big
to the
That
box.
box right back there.
He sent us the box like
We should send him something.
Yeah, that's what I was
That's
thinking.
exactly what I was going to propose.
I don't know.
we need some dark chocolate.
If he hadn't sent me anything, it wouldn't be so urgent, but I kind of feel
Chocolate.
obligated.
It's so hard. My day just got better.
There's also coffee, if you want.
Oh my goodness.
Richard, you better go get some.
I don't want any.
Better get right on this, Rick.
Just the concept.
Mr. Gary, I need help.
Alright.
That's all the best under chocolate.
The middle part. I love
Popping
these
out that little
chocolates.
thing.
These are just like my favorite
I
chocolates.
know.
The
They are,
middle
I love
part
it.
is the best part.
I love that.
I need help in there. Or let's have graph with some Hawaiian coordinate deals. The equations just never make sense. I can get it otherwise.
Did you? So all you have to do is just substitute that number for the x in the equation.
Those are two
Let's
lines
start,
for x.
so start with 1.
So
So
you
draw your
go-
equation out. You go 2 times 1.
1 plus y equals 8.
Mm-hmm.
So you go 2 plus y equals 8. Don't minus 2 from both sides.
Mm-hmm. Hang on. I'm going to get rid of y equals 6.
Huh? Oh. And that needs 6.
So you just have to work it at least 3 more times. Probably.
And then we
That's
go
how it works.
2 times 2 plus y equals 8. 4 plus y equals 8. It's going down, right?
Yeah, this is going to make this thing to be a negative slope.
2 Then what would it be 4 and 1? No, no.
Yes, sir.
This one was negative 2 over 2. Would you put it negative 1 over 1?
You could actually simplify that to
Just 1? Negative 1.
no, you don't.
Mr. Kent,
Sir,
it says climbing the old-fashioned ways for losers. Would it be correct to say climbing the old-fashioned ways for losers?
I thought it was interesting in perspective. I had been contemplating on this situation.
No, I mean like, would it be grammatically correct to say, like instead of way it is, say ways for losers?
Yeah, you can say that.
I have a question though, what does it say on the mountain? I forgot to read it.
He's definitely cheating.
Oh.
So this guy's perspective is that this guy's cheating, and this guy's perspective is that these guys are just being losers.
Being
They're climbing the old-fashioned way.
These two guys are definitely being losers. I'm the helicopter dude.
Yeah, but
I'll be the guy
I
at the
don't
top.
want to hang onto the helicopter.
I'll be
I
the
know,
guy at the
it's
top.
Actually,
Okay,
Yeah.
I think
He's already there.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
I think climbing it more, like climbing it is climbing it, and riding to the top of it is riding it, and they're not the same thing.
Well,
They're
maybe if
also-
you're riding to hang on this helicopter
They're
skid.
still not the same thing.
That
I
might
would
be
not do that.
That's
It's
how
not
much.
climbing it, it's
No,
riding on
because
it.
you're on the
Riding
base
on
of
the
that.
helicopter.
You have to hang on.
Well,
It's hard.
I'm just here to be devil's advocate.
If you actually climb that hard.
I imagine it actually would be harder
Because
to hang on.
climbing you can take breaks, and when you're holding on, you can't.
Well, yeah,
When
you
you're
stop holding on.
You'll
I hate this one where,
No, he should just pull himself up and sit.
but the holding on thing, usually you're riding in the helicopter, not.
Well, I mean, maybe that would take the thrill out of it.
No.
You know, Mr. Kent, nobody can hang on long enough.
Yeah.
there was this Navy SEAL joke, and it was like, they were all hanging on to the bottom of
No, but how do you get on if it, unless it just
like,
covers
hanging
things?
on to each other.
That's
And
the only way it'd have
what,
to
the
be.
petty chief,
far enough
he
down
said his
so you
speech,
can grab
you
the
know,
rope.
afterwards they all started clapping.
What was this?
They all started
like,
clapping,
it's
and they're
like-
hanging on to the bottom of the helicopter, and they all started
What
clapping.
was it?
Well, the petty chief, since he deserved the right to speak, he had a speech about how he devoted his life to his country and stuff. And at the end, they were all emotionally moved that day. So emotionally moved that they all started
They all
clapping.
started clapping, which is a bad move under the circumstances.
They could clap their feet.
That's not very good coffee.
Did you make it?
That's what you should do.
How much coffee did you put in?
3 scoops.
Is it strong?
Yes.
It's not bad, it's good.
Yes. Look at our friendship, guys.
It's not good.
All right. That means the shorter upgrade it harder, by the way, just as a heads up. And don't do lesson 2.
Why not?
What?
Listen, what?
You just don't do anything.
Oh.
All right. Reading is what we're going to worry about right now.
Why? Look, not gonna argue.
I know you are. We were not ready for the test on Thursday.
I thought I got a good 3. Did I?
Yeah, you did. Okay. Yeah. Nobody else was, and I wasn't. All right, so let's talk about page 8. No, yes, right? Is that what we're going to check? Starting page 8. Name a Christmas tradition in your community. Explain how it shows kindness.
I didn't explain.
I just put caroling because
Well, how would that show kindness?
Thank you, people.
Yeah. You're nice enough to come out in this frigid
whether you squished up against these people with hay, say
stuck in your ears.
and
In your boots. And down your neck. It got down my neck.
and the deafening rings of the bones.
Yes.
That was
Yeah.
not fun.
There's some little annoying kid is ringing in your ears.
Obviously.
Yep.
Your dad?
That's a
Is
They're
this
not
truck
even
that his other truck is getting fixed? Or what?
That's his old
Oh,
truck.
that's the old truck.
Yeah. He's had numerous.
Yeah, that.
All right. Number 2. Why is Christmas time an appropriate setting for the story? Leah.
For this story, the story he's telling, or when Olaf comes back?
Yeah. Why is Christmas time an appropriate setting?
Because it's when it took place.
There was a blizzard.
Or I have it, I just have it because it's a Christmas story.
Because the story
Yeah.
took place around Christmas.
Huh, so that makes it a little.
Yeah, I was like, I was.
No, I have
Because
there's
it
a
is an odd
blizzard.
question for sure.
I have there was a blizzard. If there's a blizzard, it has to be close to Christmas.
Well, there's that too. They have that the sheaf of grain was a Christmas tradition, so whatever.
Not if you're at the long winter.
But they aren't.
Yeah, I've seen blizzards in October that last, and the snow stayed until the end of April. Okay, that one wrong. So, it's not Christmas. I mean,
We had.
what is it? Adventures in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Always winter, never Christmas.
That is sad.
I guess I'm not going to be very hard on that one at all. I'm not going to dunk on anything on that. Number 3, he kept the tradition in memory of Olaf.
I just have because of what happened over.
Yes. Number 4, some things that set Olaf apart. He was kind and gentle. Flowers, birds, and animals did better for him than for other people, and he spoke in a foreign language.
Rabbit was very strong, and like the ornery critter would settle at his voice.
I have
Yeah,
you
that's
as
it.
kind and gentle. That's 2 things.
Number 5, he felt that the rancher and his wife had a feeling for Olaf they did not have for the rest of them. Number 6, the ringleader killed a bird that was fluttering around the grain. And who was the ringleader? It was old Mike. Number 8, he began to use the word I.
I have this one from third person to second.
First person meaning.
Yeah, I have first person.
That's what I meant. He went from third person to
Better
first.
scribble that out and write first before I see it.
I wrote first.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I didn't
Second
say
person
it
is a
right.
completely different animal.
I didn't say second person.
Yes, well, you did say second person, but if you wrote first person, then we're good. Number 9 is B. Number 10 is C and D. Number 11, in what 2 ways is the
C
frame
and
story
D.
effective?
What happens if I didn't get one of them?
1 point. Number 11, she used them to foreshadow that the captain was Olaf.
I said he was,
I
he was
have-
hiding his identity.
Yeah, I have.
So they couldn't tell anything
I
else.
have. He didn't want
I
me to
have
write
the
to
captain
see who
kind
he
of
was.
knew what the story would be about.
Yeah, we'll work with that. Number 12, some examples. She was showing that Olaf was a strong, healthy boy. She was foreshadowing the blizzard. Those are some examples they have. Do you have something good? Functions?
Mine is good.
What is
I
it?
just have because they're winter storms, so they're really strong.
That's good. What do you have, Leah?
Because he was a strong boy.
It is interesting that she used that to foreshadow the storm. It's,
She probably didn't.
The readers,
I would
these guys
guess that
say
she
that.
probably did.
You don't have to be a real smarty pants to do that.
Very often in revision, they'll go back and foreshadow stuff harder. Like you wouldn't think of that the first time you wrote the story, but going back and revising you would. 13. Olaf felt sad, miserable, and upset is the example they have. Richard, what do you have?
He felt bad.
That is an awkward question and an awkward answer.
He felt
What
bad.
is Sam Hill?
I just have he was sick. I was gonna write something up, but I forgot. But it don't even make sense.
But yeah, he was very sad.
I just have
He was sad and miserable is obviously a really good answer for that. The
I haven't
kind
thought-
of sickness and
Well,
sadness he's feeling is not actual probably physical sickness. It's just the fact that he was miserable about
His
what
heart
went on.
was sick.
Yeah. Number 14, the white snow blotted out the light, making everything dark. Is what they have as an example.
I think he got lost in the woods.
That'll work.
Never with good snow.
I'll work with that. 15, they have Olaf was tall and his presence was impressive.
I think
He was
big
rather
guy.
large.
I have this one maybe
Rather large.
Okay. He was a large. He was a large size. All right, 16 is C.
XX large.
XXL.
Another triple X.
I'm XL, he's triple X. 17 is B. B?
What?
And 13 is A. "19, a sheep of grain. 20, kindness. 21, cruelty. 22, stupid examples. They had, the boys thought that Olaf had died in the storm and were sorry for their actions.
They had to work together for a good cause.
I haven't made,
You go first.
I haven't made all of get lost, which, and it made them regret it.
Yeah.
They had to work together for a good cause.
That's actually a really good one.
I heard they had to go find their dad. That's when they started getting scared when the dad went and he never came back and then they had to go out and find him. And they just freaked
That was
out.
their bad.
Well, they're ranchers then. Said that they turned into good little sons for him.
So how did that blizzard begin to change?
I don't know.
Anyway,
Yeah, I don't like the years so much. Maybe take a half years because what it is. 23. Example, they stopped being bullies and became kind of respectable.
I just, yeah, I got you. I regret it.
Yeah, I said they forgave.
they forgave each
Yeah,
other.
Last
Good little angels with halos over their heads.
Last week, little angels to begin with.
Couple.
All right, 24. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
They say, kindness changes the hearts of cruel people. Kindness is powerful and triumphs over cruelty. Those are the examples they had. What do you have?
I have people went from being cruel to being kind.
Yeah,
Good.
I have to be nice to other human beings.
I didn't use those words, but I got some.
25. A, nobody could have lived through that storm. So the conclusion is that Olaf is dead. 26.
I have nobody has seen him for 20 years.
Trinity in that whole
Yeah, but the premise in the sentence is that nobody could have lived through that storm. Mark that one wrong, please. 26. The first premise is I bring only unhappiness here. The second premise is my heart is sick. And the conclusion is I will go. 27.
Oh.
27, he didn't learn it until years later when he was an old man. 28.
That's not what I have.
I have when you saw the sheep along the highway.
I have when he came to Old Mike's gas station.
Oh, you didn't. I didn't find it yet.
I have it all time.
I think mine is right.
I think mine is.
I think yours is good. What do you have, Lynn?
His leaving put me in the place where I had to leave.
Yeah, but the question is when did Olaf learn that his kindness helped others to change? So Richard is good.
Person.
Yeah, but that's not what you have.
No, not what I have.
So yeah. Okay. Yeah. You just take that off, mark that off, please. 28, I will look at 29, Chinese, and 30, giving of yourself for others for
There's a lot right here.
Especially with the amount of points and the amount wrong.
Yeah, it's just,
Mr. Ted,
Yes.
you should just start saying, you won't, but you can just start saying we don't have to do questions like 28.
yeah, exactly, there's something else.
Well, so they do serve a purpose.
Like what?
Smashing us into shape through and roll.
To make you think.
It's going on make me think.
They should just say, think about our time, but they don't just write it.
Yeah.
You know what'll happen?
What?
You won't think about it. You don't have to write anything down.
You can write it down.
Exactly.
why they should do that.
All right. How bad is it? 89.
3.5.
91. 3. Nah, go to 90 on that, please. Yeah. 3, 91. Richard?
1.
97. Literature.
I need you to know.
You mean algebra? You mean literature worse right now? They're crammed for time right now. It's terrible. Terrible, terrible. How this is working out for us. Oh wait, literature, lesson 6. We don't have to check. But I didn't look. Remember Lot's wife.
Remember?
The one that turned into a pillow. That's all I can remember.
Way back in the day.
Why she turned into a pillow?
She
She
did
turned around and looked at the fire.
Dad told her his version of that story. And it was way better than the Bible.
What was it?
Well, he put into way more detail about like she had just gotten this brand new one of a kind first one to come out of the
First
factory
edition.
coffee maker.
Obviously.
And she loved her coffee.
That's for sure.
And then she had to
That name
She
does
just
it.
looked back at her coffee maker.
Killer assault right there. That's actually a really good
really
illustration.
wanted one more cup of coffee out of the precious new coffee. Well, I don't know what's
Willing to brave the sin of Sodom for that. Situational ethics. It says, number 23, it says, define situational ethics and give an example from Lowy Slavey. What's situational ethics?
When you said that it's okay to lie in a work.
Okay, lies, okay, to steal or kill or whatever. Yeah, so like in one situation, you'd be like, in this situation it isn't okay, but in this situation it is. You have can you give an example from Lowy Slavey?
That's what it was.
Oh,
It's
lying.
okay to lie. I think. Yeah.
So remember that situational ethics is that it isn't doing sin is it's the theory that sinning in this situation is not okay, but sinning in this situation is. That's what situational ethics is. Depending on the situation, it defines whether it's sin or not. What are COs other than commanding officers?
Conscientious objectors.
Conscientious objectors, that's correct.
So you want both of them?
No.
Just
Conscientious objectors is the one they're referring to. Also, although you may run across commanding officer more often than conscientious objector. I do want to go over. I want to try to go over some of these words more.
What is the
some of
theme?
the theme from Lowy Slavey. Well, can you think of?
Not lie even when you're in war.
Can you define some words for me, please, from Lowy Slavey? What's hysteria?
When you get into like a frenzy.
Frenzy or rage. What about ominous? What's an ominous?
Dark
When you're
foreboding.
Dark and foreboding, yeah, it's like ominous clouds, kind of threatening. Retrospect, is that Lisa?
Looking back.
Yeah, looking back, in
So
retrospect.
look back.
That was it. Yeah, you did look back. Good job.
Mr. Kenton, so normally when you think of mundane, what do you think of?
When I think of mundane, I think of paperwork.
And day-to-day, boring.
Just like every day.
Well, and then they said that it meant earthy,
Yeah.
and that's why I got it wrong.
I looked at that one before.
Or which one?
You looked at it in the
In my literature quiz.
This is what this.
earthy.
All of a sudden, I was doing my quiz and I wrote mundane, insignificant, and something. And I was like, oh, that one's it.
Where is that? Let
And
me see.
here it says that mundane means earthy, marked by the
Of-
tangible. and
Of the
temporary.
earth.
Oh, okay, marked by the tangible and temporary. Mundane, no, I don't
I guessed on most of these, and I only got 2 of them wrong, so.
Yeah, and no,
The only reason why I got that one right was because I looked
Yeah.
at the definition.
Mundane yet earthly, grimy, earthly, humorous. So it's pretty mundane, could be earthly as well,
It's up here, that's what I thought.
of the earth.
That's what I have. Did we get X or just switched around? Those are the 2 I had no
Where's
idea.
the
Suave.
definition for situation?
What about suave? Definition for suave.
Swap.
Somebody can be suave.
Smooth.
Smooth.
The chocolate was
Oh,
soft.
I don't know.
Right. Try to read it by memory, they all count.
Oh, I can't.
I noticed. Casualty. What's a casualty?
Just happens normally.
No, I don't know.
In war, what's a casualty?
A person that died.
Yeah, right, a loss. Casualties in war, people or equipment that gets lost. And obscene means foul, evil, gross. Remanded, can you think of that?
Basically commanded.
Like school.
Sent back, I think, is yeah. So you can command, and then the opposite of that is remand, I think.
Yeah, return to next. Because I got that one.
So you have command and then you have remand.
Basically the same thing.
Contramand, or there's all sorts of different ones. Surveillance is somewhere you put in the periscope. But all right. So language. Yes, Richard. You happened to accidentally be ahead. Didn't mean for that to happen to you. So I'm sorry. My deepest regrets.
I'm not.
Didn't figure you would be.
It was because of that test. Because we thought that.
Yeah, it was, I know exactly why. Offended anyone. So, for the rest of you lovely people, and actually, you can sit through this as well, Richard. I understand you don't have work to do, but that's fine.
Checking that at all.
Check anything. Because we did a test on Friday. It is the lesson 1 in language. Doesn't stutter. Doesn't work.
That test wasn't hard. I just made
It's
a
got
bunch
an E.
of dumb little
It's got an E.
Yeah, no big deal. Just needs work. Yeah, I feel, I'm not sure. I'm trying to decide if it's my teaching style.
No, 80 cents.
I'm trying to decide if it's my teaching style or just simply the fact that I know nothing about language arts. But, yeah, there's some troubles in my English here, so that's why we're here.
Like, my lesson grades aren't terrible, but
Well, and
once
that's good.
once I can't look back, then it's just a problem. Like I don't.
Yeah. All right. So what we're going to talk about first is we're going to do a little bit of review here. Leah.
What?
Give me the 4 principal parts of a verb. You should know. Would it help if I said one of them is a past participle? Those are principal parts. Richard, can you put your
Past participle,
away?
present
Put
participle,
this on this one.
future participle.
No, not future participle. Okay, so I said past participle is 1.
Present participle.
Yes. Present participle. two other principal parts. Chris, do you know them? Leah got the hard ones.
Have participle and present participle, past and present.
Past and present, yes.
And future.
Who's future or principal part?
I don't know, it should be. It should be.
The future is always best.
I know.
These are the four we talked about at any rate. These are the principal parts. The thing that I like is the principal parts have the word part in them. Maybe that might help. Remember that. All right. And a verb tenses. All right. So now we're into the fun part.
Pursuit.
Say what?
Pursuit.
Authority. My handling funny. I was writing in a hurry. All right.
It's just like the
So-
student spots something, you just ask the teacher.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the teacher should tell where you go back.
Absolutely. Everything. All right. So the verb tenses. Let's start with Leah.
What?
Verb tenses.
Past.
Past. And Cody?
What are you doing? Oh, that
Verb tenses.
Past perfect.
Ooh. That wasn't Rich. That wasn't Cody, but we'll work with that. Now,
So
so
what are we
the next one? These are the verb tenses, not the verb, not the principal parts.
So present? It's present.
Yes, present is the next one.
And then present perfect.
Present perfect. Okay, now he does it. Back off. Chris,
Future and future perfect.
Leah, get your nose out of there for a second. You have to stick with us.
I'm sticking with it.
You're not sticking with me close enough.
I'm listening.
Yeah, not close enough. All right. So, you get to pick one verb that your neighbor gets to list the tenses for. So, Cody,
Jogged. Or jog.
jog. We'll go with jog. We'll go with the present tense, right?
Jogged
You're
it.
right, I did that.
Jog.
It's like walk.
All right. Richard.
I need more time to think of a really bad one.
Well, you have just enough time to leave 5 seconds.
What? Oh.
4, 3, 2. Give me a verb.
Extraterrestrial.
That's not a verb. That's an adjective. Give me a verb. I need a verb. Verb.
Would have been a hard one though.
Yes. Really hard to put that.
Decorate.
Decorate. Good.
The scrimmage one? Can I do a
Scrimmage?
And then
That's
my-
a good one.
Skirmish?
Some scrimmage. Scrimmage. Or I don't know. Some
Skirmish.
Skirmish is one. Just hold on this one for now. We'll plan skirmish. Skirmish. All right.
I'll do it for you.
Yeah.
And Leah, do you have one?
Re-educate.
Re-educate. All right. Perfect. So, past tense of jog. Leah?
Past. Jog. Jog.
Jog. Right? And past perfect?
Actually, all of them.
Yes.
Have jog.
Present.
Jog.
Present perfect?
Had jog.
Future?
Will jog.
Yep.
Will have jog.
Will jog and will have jogged. All right, there's one little detail.
They're all my things.
Yep. On past perfect.
Had jog.
Had a job. Nice. All right. Decorate. Hang on. How did I do this? I went this way. So, Cody, you're going to do decorate.
Okay, decorated.
Decorated. Past perfect.
Decorated.
Had and decorated, yes.
Decorate or decorates.
Decorate or decorates, you're right.
Have or has decorated.
Yes. Future?
Will decorate.
Yes, the future verb.
Or will have decorated.
Precisely. Skirmish. Wait, did you need? No, yeah, it's yours.
Past skirmish.
Skirmish with an ED. Yep.
Such a battle. Had skirmish.
Yes. Had skirmish.
Skirmish.
Skirmish. Or skirmishes.
Skirmish, did
Skirmishes.
That's like one because it can be
Alright.
said again.
Past perfect. Or present perfect, my bad.
Has skirmish.
Has or have skirmished. That's correct. Future?
Will skirmish.
Will skirmish. And let's see this one.
Or skirmishing.
Will
Future
have
perfect.
skirmish.
Will have skirmished. Perfect. And re-educate.
I'm sorry.
I would be.
Re-educated.
Re-educated. Yes.
Had re-educated.
Had re-educated. We can spell had.
Re-educated for present, is that right?
Say what?
Re-educated for present.
Yet a re-educate or cates for present.
Re-educate.
Yep, this is the present tense.
And then past perfect
So
is
present perfect.
present perfect is your order list. Has re-educated,
Has re-educated.
will re-educate,
Will re-educate.
will have re-educated.
There you go.
I'm sorry.
Will have re-educated.
All right. Good.
I picked that one for a reason.
Because it was easy.
I wish you'd have had the drink.
No.
All righty. Good deal. I feel like you have a functional-ish grip on them. So.
I think I pretty much know those.
Yes,
It's just
we're going to be adding to things eventually, but
apostrophes and whatever they're called.
apostrophes and little doohickey ones.
Yes.
All them little
And hyphens.
Doohickey, what's it?
Hyphens are not okay.
They're not the best, but also not the worst. All right. So we're going to turn to page 1 of your book. Subject verb agreement with indefinite pronoun. What does the word indefinite mean? Any clue?
It's like either
Not, you don't know.
Right. There's no real. It's not a list. You can say this is either. These are all singular. These are all plural. Right. We can't do that. So we have to decide whether these are singular or plural, kind of on the fly. There's some things we can do to tell, but these are indefinite pronouns. Here is a list of.
Don't you just take the noun or
Right.
the object?
Okay, so here is a list of ones. Never mind, I was saying it was wrong. There's a list of plural indefinite pronouns, and here is what they are. Here's the list of plural indefinite pronouns. These ones are always plural no matter what. There's some that can be either singular or plural. These ones are always plural. All right, Chris, can you read the first one for me? The first plural indefinite pronoun, there's a list.
plural, both.
Both. Leah, next one.
You.
Cody?
Several.
Several. I can't spell.
You don't let it down or both.
And last one?
I'm not looking at my notes. That isn't many.
Both, few, several, many. Those are always plural. So if you see these ones, you know to use a plural verb. All right? Good. Happy. Now, these ones, you can't tell right off. They're either singular or plural, right? So now we have to look at the object of preposition that follows this, right? Here's the list of them. Here's the list of the ones that are indefinite. You get some, any, none, all, and most. So the way this will show up in a sentence is like this. All right? We're going to see it. It's going to say Ooh, capitalize that because it's a sentence. Most of the students did or does, which is not going to be a hard one, okay on the test. Actually, no, that's not a good one at all. Something like that. Let's go is or are. Is or are happy? Of course they are. It's Monday. All right. So here's the deal. We have the subject of the sentence is, Chris? Most. This is the subject, all right? Of the students here is a prepositional phrase. And this is where we decide whether this sentence is using plural or singular sentence structure. Correct?
Yes.
Good. So is it plural or is it singular?
Students are happy.
It's plural.
Students are plural. Because this is plural, we use a plural verb. Students are happy. All right. So, let me see. Number one. What's our subject?
Any.
Any is our subject, so you underline that. And our verb, Chris. Are. Why? Why?
Prepositional.
You look at the prepositional phrase, and students is plural.
The older students.
Right. So because students is plural, you use are, because are is plural. Is would be singular. Leah, what's the subject of number two?
Several.
Okay. What's the verb?
Me?
Yes. Why?
Because of the
Because of the object of preposition. Paintings is, because paintings is plural. No, wait, no, my bad. My bad. I'm
No,
sorry.
just
Sorry,
for
sorry.
that one,
That's it.
That's just a
That's a
typo.
plural. That's a plural indefinite pronoun.
Several.
You're right. Ah, several. Yes. So several is always plural. That's my official bad. All right.
And number three, there's two prepositional phrases.
Number three. Okay, so hang on. We have to think about the first one. All right.
No,
The first one is the important one. We're not worried about the car. We're worried about the passengers. Correct.
yeah.
All right. So the subject is which?
Non-word.
None is the subject, and because that is we can't tell whether it's singular or plural until the preposition. The preposition is
What?
the object preposition.
Passengers.
Passengers,
Work.
passengers work. That's correct. Number four, all is a verb. Richard.
Work. All is in the work.
Right. Because you would use which word would you tell would you use to decide whether it's singular or plural? Right, you use the word these. These were stuffed. It actually does help to just use that, just use that word as a subject instead. When you're diagramming, you can do that. That's only one way to test. Number five, Chris, subject
Any.
and the verb. Does. Number six, Leah, subject, verb.
Are.
Right, because that is a plural indefinite pronoun.
Is one of them?
Say what?
Is out.
No, just many. Or what? Some of these, both be several many. Those are always plural.
I know, but the only.
And number seven, Cody.
Subject is only. No, wait. Only. There's-
Subject of seven?
No. Any. Oh, okay, actually, not sure. Few.
Few is the subject. Few is a,
It's plural, so it would
Right.
have.
exactly. You want to do 8 and 9 yourself. And number 10. The question is, if the indefinite pronoun can be either singular or plural, how do you know which kind of verb to use?
Looking.
Looking at the preposition does. Leah. Pronoun.
I'm not
Right.
happy right now.
I understand. I don't really care. This, which is a pronoun. In this situation, the sentence. I mean, it's the subject of the sentence, but it's a pronoun. And but if you find it in this situation, what is which in this situation? Leah.
Is it an indirect?
Is it?
I think so. I don't know.
Chris, do you have any insight?
No. Is it an adjective?
Right. Answer your question. Which one? Silly thing to switch around like that.
Yeah, I don't remember how to do 26 through 29. Not remembering.
That's a good point.
It looks really hard.
All right. So, Chris, number 26. Which one is it? A or B?
B.
Why?
I don't know.
I feel like that was a wild guess.
It was.
It was a wild guess. You didn't have
You
any
read
reason
it
for
right.
whatever it was you did.
You're right, actually. Isn't it?
No. It is A. Yeah, it needs a comma, and then it needs a dot between the PH and the D. So 26 is A.
Oh.
So when you're writing with a doctor's name or title or whatever behind them, like if you were talking about me, you would say, "Oh my Lord, this is a terrible unit." You would say Kenton Weaver, and because I'm not a doctor at all, we're just going to say M.D. I think would be what period. But it does need a comma. That's definitely important.
What is that from? Mark?
Medical doctor, which I'm not.
Medical.
I would have to go to school for umpteen years, and I only went to school for 12, 14.
How many years did you say after you go?
Umpteen.
How much is that?
A lot more than I've done in school.
No, I don't think.
I-
Charity went.
She's
Thirteen
only a
seven
nurse.
years, but she's a bachelor nurse. That's different.
Okay, so to be a doctor, you
And
have to go to
RN.
school for like it's either 8 or 10 years, and then you have to be like a student, an intern or whatever for like 4 years or something.
No, but you have to go through all the grade school years, and then on top of that, high school and college, and then.
Well, I mean, going through high school isn't that hard. I didn't.
I know it's not hard, but that's the amount.
I mean, I can do it. Anybody can do it. All right. Work on that lesson.
I need to go to number 27.
Number 27. Oh, well, I forgot about 26.
Seriously?
I did forget about it.
Start with the A.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's
So
what-
here's the deal.
Yeah.
For this, remember your number line,
Yeah.
right? So 75 BC,
And then went to get
AD 75, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the way to remember that. And 28.
The
Leah?
honorable.
A.
B.
Actually, it's B. You have to write it out. The reason for that, I forget. I forget why that's B, but it is B. You have to write it out.
Okay. Release it.
All right. Good stuff.
There's 29 yet.
Yeah, there's 29.
You can figure 29 by yourself.
While we're on the
That's
topic
hard
of
to learn.
artwork, you know that time when we were out in the church and you thought I drew that on the board?
Oh, no. Nobody remembers.
Yeah, I think 29 you can figure out.
That was Cody actually.
Sure, your words can say.
I was supposed to be like,
I just want to clear my record.
Yeah, you'll get that. All right, English. I'm sorry.
Yeah, what if none of the organizations?
I need help on literature.
It's not literature.
No, then you
get
number
one.
1 and number 22.
Number 1 and number 22?
No, 21 and 22.
21 and 22?
The voice of love speaks to the careless in terms of prayer and the law. And I put C, it is God's love to warn those that are not content in their sin, or those who are content.
That's what I put.
On B, or B, love frightens those who do not expect it.
No, I think what it's saying is C. Like, if you're being careless, like God uses the fear of hell and judgment in order to scare you into actually thinking.
And then is this one B?
That's what I have. I have B. But if you're like me,
I didn't really get it. Could you not please say all of what this says? They each say a part of what that says. Okay.
I would say D is. Yeah, for sure none of the other ones are right, so that kind of leaves D. All right. How about your speech?
Speech?
Speech.
But it is speech.
Oh yes.
Yeah, we're getting
In Englishes.
Oh,
I
English.
say that we have to do that. Don't believe in.
Are
We have to do a speech. Does it finish?
No.
yeah, you have to do
He
everything.
said we don't.
Another day.
Have.
Another day.
So we have, basically what we're going to do is we're going to do the speech. We're going to make sure we get the speech done before Christmas vacation. So that leaves us, well, we have 5 days.
Yeah, there's a lesson
Yeah,
6.
6 days. Well, I should probably get the quiz done.
where is the quiz? Lesson 5 or
Lesson 7. Because
Yeah,
they have no clue how to work life. Alright, so,
Are you doing this right here? Or we have to do that?
We are.
me, work? Are you kidding?
It's only 8
What page is
questions.
that on?
16.
Oh, we're not worried about page 16 yet.
No, it's on giving the speech.
Lesson 6.
No, that's you.
Really?
I will grade you using this stuff in the back. Well, you're supposed to use some self-evaluation techniques. So I use the grading plan on page 33.
How am I supposed to capture the listener's attention?
Capture. Don't let them get away. They
Time
gotta
up.
stay here.
Yeah, we'll tie them up.
Hold my gunpoint. That's a good way to hold their attention. All right. They won't look away from you the whole time. They'll be very, very interested in whatever it is you're saying. All right. Life hack.
That's a joke.
Life hack. Don't use that one though.
I don't want to know.
Hold somebody a gun. Easy does it.
How do you spell unfortunately?
There's a thing.
How can you find it if you don't know how to spell?
Start by sounding it out. Unforch.
How do you spell
Just-
fortunate?
yeah.
UNFORCH. Unforch.
Unfortunate.
Unfortunately.
You don't have to spell it. You don't have to spell it, bro.
Unfortunate. So how would you spell fortune?
Yikes! That is not right.
Start with the root word, fortune.
14, 8.
Unfortunately.
And then you put an un, and then you put an 8. That's how.
How do you spell F though? Unfortunately.
I don't know.
Put a lead on it. L-E-E. You're welcome. As your teacher, I'm always here to help. We talked about number 1 in class. Number 2, they have B-D-A-C for 2, 3, 4, 5. B-D-A-C.
I didn't have it like that.
Well, how
I
do you have
have
it?
C and D switch.
So you have C-D-A-B? Nope. You're wrong.
I don't know why I put it like
Hey,
that.
tell me one time you accidentally spilled a bucket of paint over your head. You would
Yeah.
not wish to tell that to a business owner. That's the last thing I would tell to somebody.
Did you accept this?
I would have had it right, but I was thinking wrong. I think I read them wrong and put them in the wrong one. They were like,
I definitely would not tell that during a job interview.
I know I wouldn't even, but I read them.
Something you would really.
I read them and then I must have read,
Instead of a.
So what am I supposed to
again
do?
and set the wrong one in.
What am I supposed to do if,
I counted them
You're
wrong.
right.
But
Sunday school.
what's that?
all right, for 6 through 10, you have a sample speech assignment. Jersey, how did you fill that out? Your audience,
I don't want to be confused.
please.
Yes.
Pretty please with the turn.
My audience is kids and Sunday school and English is Sunday school character. And how I'm back in my and then for the number 9, I have how I'm back in my speech and essay, and then 10 block puts into my life purposes.
Well, hey, there you go. You have a system. I can understand why you didn't want to read that in your English class, though. Christy, what about you?
6 high school students have the Bible study. 8 God taught me a lesson on kindness. 9 when I was me when I got coals of fire on my head. Number 10 God definitely taught me to be kind.
Good. And Lisa?
Bible studies teach confidence. When you disobey, you get in trouble. When you disobey, you get locked in service for broadening idea and God teaches us all the lessons.
Okay. You may have missed the basic summary and broadening idea. You kind of almost got them. I didn't really get them switched around. Basic summary is, yeah. What do you have for purpose statement again?
Verse 16 is God teaches us all the lessons.
It's a little vague, I would say. For sure. Okay, we'll work with that for now. But basically, the basic summary should be like a pretty basic, so they have, the whole, over on page 2, they have answered prayer. Or, God healed my broken leg was the basic summary. And then broadening the idea is like how I broke it, tell what the doctor said, how it healed, how it works. So basically broadening the idea is more details and so on and so forth. All right, so let's go 11 through 16. Let's talk about that really briefly. I want to see what you guys have. Our audience, which we talked about, is just going to be this room. So that's what you should have. The occasion.
English class.
English class, exactly. Time limit, I didn't have to.
You said 4 to 7.
4 to 7 minutes. Topic. Okay, areas you want to discuss?
No, areas to discuss, not areas you want to discuss.
Oh, whatever. You can sort that out however you want.
That's the one.
Because none of us know anything about you, so we expect you to say something. You should have, like I said before,
I did bodies, interest, family.
Family
On the
fun.
family. I have interest in future funds. Future funds you can do about it.
yeah, you can do whatever you want. Just make it up on the
Yeah,
fly.
I never what do you want?
I've got future plans too, but here we go.
I should write that.
Purpose statement. What do you have for that?
I have any interest in things that I like. I'm gonna head to areas I want to discuss with you.
Yeah, you're supposed to have 3.
Hey, is my purpose statement wrong?
My purpose statement's
I
kind
think it's wrong.
of mine as well.
What do you have?
I wrote to tell Lucky about unlucky me, but I'm pretty sure that's not right.
Probably not. Try to get a little better purpose statement in there, like,
Mine needs to be better.
yeah. Get
That would be more
strict
for
purpose
the
statement.
assignment. Yeah, so, yeah. That, and it should be,
Okay,
hobbies and interests are like the same thing.
can be.
I have.
I mean, I'm interested
Oh,
in
no,
aviation, but
yeah.
unfortunately, I don't want to do that in my
I don't
pilot license.
like trying to figure out purpose statements.
That is really, it can be really hard. Basically just, so you kind of just have to figure out how to summarize what's going on.
So family, hobbies, and job. Family, hobbies, and jobs.
Okay, but the purpose is to explain to somebody, first of all, you don't have a verb. Second of all, and because it's a statement, you need one. Basically, so you have to think, like, the purpose of this is to explain to you, or to describe to you my hobbies and my job and my, help you understand it better, I guess. If you want people to understand you, you don't have to do things vague. But that's what we're here for. So that's what's going on. All right, we have to get on to lesson 2. And, they have the specific
But I have 2 wrong.
outline.
88.
You have 2 wrong. I will,
16.
I'll make those, because of the way it is, I'll make them 4 points each.
So that's not going to be as bad as I thought.
Yes.
Is this better to tell you about my interests and hobbies and my family for purposes?
That's pretty good.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, we have 2 different types of organization for a today. So once you have, you have your speech, your topic, your purpose, and what you plan to say. You could write it out word for word. There's some people who do that. Generally speaking, well, yeah, you're not going to be able to just sit there and read the speech when you do it, because on account of you have to write eye
If
contact.
you write it,
And then you have to look at each person for
It
about
doesn't-
2 seconds.
and you're practicing, usually practicing it once without any of those other things.
I know.
You're supposed to
You just
mark
do
that
that
last
right when
row.
you get up.
Change something like that. All right. So, there's a few different types of organization. We can do a topical organization. Topical means basically using 2 or 3 subpoints describing the main topic, right? So if we're going to be talking about anything. Say what?
Her dad works at bus director.
Well, for example, this, number 1 would be for topical. They have types of healthcare professions. That would be, you would use a topical outline to describe that. We would go over kind of 3 different things on page 4. So number 1 would be C, the types of healthcare professions. Number 2, chronological, that's just describing things in order. So if you have something that is in chronological order, you have to describe it in chronological order. A is a great example of something you'd want to do in chronological order by time. Comparison and contrast, on the other hand, would be something you would use to compare or contrast 2 sides of a case. So like you're making an argument. D would be a great example. And 4, problem and solution. If you have, you use this in like a persuasive speech. If you're trying to convince people to stop throwing curing canisters in the ocean or whatever. So that they have for meat outlets. Then they also have spatial organization, which we didn't talk about because we're not talking about space particularly. That's when you're describing something, a space or a place. All right. So what type of organization works best for your speech? If you're talking about your hobbies or interests, so on and so forth, you might wish to use topical organization. Basically, just a few different branches. You're not going to be comparing and contrasting. You don't really have to talk about things in a timeline. You can just kind of, unless of course you're talking about things you wish to do in the future, then you might wish to break into that. But probably generally speaking, we're going to use topical organization.
You could tell the problems that the problems, your interests, and the solution.
Maybe.
So if you would
Problem
use your
solution.
plan, what kind
And
of
problem,
problem?
I would still just use topical. Your 2 or 3 main points, you should basically that'll be like the topics for number 14 on lesson 2, and your main points and outline points, and then basically just work on filling that out. You should know at this point in your lives how to set up an outline where you have. This is going to be a pretty in-depth outline, I guess. Where you have your 3 main things, so hobbies and interests. Is going to be Roman numeral 1, and then what is it? Number 1 after that, or is it letters? No,
It's
letters.
letters.
Letters, capital letters
Letters
after
and
that.
then
Mr.
numbers.
Grant,
So
what
you-
kind of poem it's like the old gas man named Peter. Who wrote
Limerick.
them. What are they?
Limerick.
Limerick.
So like here I put my hobbies and interests, and then I would, if I wanted to break that down into whatever, I would use 1 or 2, so on and so forth. And then, B, next hobby, and so on and so forth. And then you would do 1 and 2. So that's kind of gonna set that up. I'm not gonna describe to you piece by piece how to do it. If you have questions on it, feel free to ask. You should make sure that you have, if you have an A, you should have a B, basically, is what's going on there.
And if you have one, you have
And if you have 1, you should have 2.
the worst thing ever.
It is. I like how they have for the siblings, they all have L twins.
This person is pure blue.
Lynette, Lisa, and
Where?
see,
And like
the example outline, all the siblings.
They also, so they have like, their hobbies, reading. First real book read was Little House on the Prairie.
I have
Don't know
no
what that
idea.
means.
That means that's the
That's
first
what I
favorite.
was-
Often reading 2 books at the same time, not me. Finished every one 100%.
I have before.
I literally, I start one and then it is,
Really?
I mean, we
Yeah,
are on
one
a
at
roll
school,
until I think it's
one
done.
at-
Yeah, so you have one at school and
One
at home.
and then one on Audible.
Yeah,
I am
I
reading
have
so many books.
And on
Audible
top of that,
doesn't
I
count.
usually have Adventures in Odyssey that
Yeah, me too.
Audible. Then you can stop and start.
Two. I would four.
I have 3 books in my room right now.
What-
that
what
are
is it?
Tyler Tree.
What is it?
One in my
Like
room.
thirty.
Audible Adventures.
All right.
I never.
Yeah. They even have writing letters in English. That's not one of my hobbies. Pal in Montana, like to write to a family in BC.
I hate writing letters, but I got
that
feminist
hat.
letters.
All right. Richard, what treasure do you have?
I don't think he's not so psychotic.
Good.
Read that letter. That's a good one.
Good. All right. We need to do some spelling.
They're so hard.
I know. Life is just terrible. Come up here in a moment. I will lead you through this. I will lead you to a victory. Yes. We have Chris Wheatman.
Oh, he stole my blue one.
This is mine. Oh, where's my copy? I love this. I like my red one.
These are good.
Where's that one? Perfect. I still got my good one. You don't want it.
Cody. Val. Chris. Jeopardize. Easy does it. Chris. I mean, yeah. So Chris, you did jeopardize. Richard, itemize. And itemize. Leah. Apologize.
Blue is my favorite color. man.
Please.
Inform me about my,
You want jeopardize?
Yeah, I know.
This is wrong.
Actually,
What?
it's not. Fallible is good. Jeopardize doesn't need capital, but that was right.
These are all my markers.
Make sure you're I really read that one. I think you got it right.
These are all my markers. Those are all my markers.
Despicable.
Hey, Brown.
Just
Inevitable. Intelligible. Combustible.
inevitable.
Inevitable.
Combustible or combustible?
Combustible.
Here, you can donate this to me.
Here, you don't have it.
Spelling was right. I don't want that.
Okay.
That one is right.
I know. This round is nice.
I hate grammar. I know, I need to.
This one needs to
That's fine.
It's, so it's combustible, IBL.
I don't.
These are all my few.
Feasible, preferable, plausible, agonized, preferable, agonized,
I have no idea, but I just wrote something down that looks.
feasible,
No, wait, no, I know. Every time you get a haircut, you can have that one too. Only one.
preferable.
Is that right? No.
I better write it.
Yeah.
Is there any capitalization in this?
No, there's no capitalization. Emphasize, flexible,
Emphasis.
pliable, antagonize. Don't do that to me, don't antagonize people, it's not nice. Flexible, emphasize. Emphasize.
Aggregate.
What you did you? Hey, who wants this marker?
Good job. And
Right.
do
Mr.
flammable.
Did you take cookies to those neighbors? There you
No,
go.
of course not, we ran out. Flammable, hypnotize, pulverize, comparable.
Why is this so good? Dude, this one writes so good. Like, watch, it's just like perfect. Like, it was
So well.
It's almost. But the it's
Brown
right.
writes great, but it's not.
Oh, is that all that we're doing?
It's compare.
It's like it writes so perfect, but like it's
comparable.
just
No,
not.
you got the ADL for that, yeah.
Come on.
Comparable. Say comparable. All right, now look here. That's enough.
I have them down here.
Chill out. All right, erase it, please. And we're on to do them in a different way. E food. I'll give you E food. All right. We do comparable, pulverize, hypnotize, flammable. Hypnotize. You ever hypnotize?
What did you give me?
Genius. Comparable.
Have you ever hypnotized a chick?
Yes.
Oh.
What you do is hold their head down in the dirt and you draw a line away from their feet. And they sit there and like stare at them.
Nobody. Like,
It's
yeah.
hilarious.
Let's do
Have
it.
you?
Bring a chicken and let's
Don't
do
have a
it.
chicken?
I'll bring a chicken. Actually.
Do you have a chicken?
What can you do with this?
Then we can No, I can run it out.
All right.
No, I can do
Antagonize,
that.
pliable, flexible, emphasize.
All this rock marker writes.
There was a book I read about Davy Crockett, and like Davy Crockett was born when the West was wild, and then was chicken.
My marker is fine. You can keep your marker. I get my red marker.
Emphasize, okay. And
I love this red marker.
agonize, plausible, preferable, feasible.
Are you supposed to eat this tree?
Plausible, ideal. Feasible.
What can I say? Just brown marker. Like, if I don't just
No, this one writes one.
Good deal.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that because they have to have two. What they do in all
S, ideal. So we got that one right. So, yeah. All right. Combustible, intelligible, inevitable, despicable. Yes, and they don't need to capitalize either.
Yeah, I still capitalize.
Your bucket puts out his, look at Leah's.
I've capitalized all of them so far.
Oh, hang on. Look, mine. I'm pretty sure it was-
It's visible.
I was wrong. It's ABO.
Yes! Look at the marker. I won't forget. Just look at the marker.
Okay.
Right? Just like,
And our last
you
one.
got it up there. It's not really anything, but just look at the marker.
Apologize. Itemize, jeopardize, valid.
What?
Itemize?
Oh.
Yes.
What was mine?
Apologize, itemize, jeopardize, valid.
Itemize.
Disease.
I.
Geopartisan.
Watch the marker. It's
Just
so
put a
funny.
little accent mark.
Just do it like it makes you go crazy.
Geopartisan.
I know, but
Can you even put that on the note?
All right, that's good enough for now.
Hey Richard, watch the tip of it. Just watch the marker. Just watch it. He's gonna die. It doesn't make me go cross-eyed. It's so funny. Then his eyes get stuck.
That'd
Also,
be bad.
you can hypnotize birds by making them watch. Like you've seen, like there's like these videos that have like a swirling black and white thing where it's like sucks your eye into the center. If you make birds watch that, they just get glued to the screen. Just
What?
go brain dead. Like actually most people do. Well,
I hate
too much. You lose brain cells.
You don't ever
Really?
That's what you do actually. Yeah.
Did you know your brain replaces itself?
Every 7 years,
No.
you have a completely new brain. Actually, every
It's
7 years,
not
you're a
every
completely
time.
new you.
If that would be, that
Are you
would be
serious?
smarter.
I'm serious. Every 7 years,
Forget
you're completely
everything.
replaced.
No, I'm 14 on these.
Twice.
Fine.
Oh, that's you when I turn 14.
There's nothing left of the original you.
No, but
Come on,
that's the 7-year-old
it's
you.
way less time than that. Your brain does replace it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't know exactly what the math is, but I know that you are completely, like, there is nothing left.
I'm working on this
Every 7
technique.
years. Every 7 years.
That's creepy.
Every 7 years.
I'm working on
completely
the third.
replace every cell in your body.
Every cell.
Hey, how busy?
There are no cells that
And ain't
are
there like,
changed
ain't there
every
like,
7 years.
ain't there like
Hey,
trillions
how
and
old are
trillions
you?
and trillions of cells in you?
How old am I?
27.
What she said. I just did the math. Yes, I'm 27.
So you have your 4 tons.
Yeah.
One more year. Ain't
What,
don't
yeah.
you have like trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of cells? in
Trillion
you?
is a big number. You know how big a trillion is?
Yeah, I know how big it is.
Yeah, how big is
It's
it?
big.
So,
I don't
you know how big a
know.
million is?
Yeah.
If you had $100 bills,
Yeah.
good solid, I don't have any hundreds in my wallet today.
I have 100 at home. Actually, I'm looking at 100 at home.
Well, I have a stack of them at home too, because it's stuff I'm doing to the bank.
Wouldn't my hundreds have to go in?
Mine are because I have to get raised and stuff. They
You have to pay.
My
So,
parents,
$1 million in $100 bills actually fits neatly into a grocery bag.
What?
$1 million in $100 bills fits pretty neatly into a grocery, like a plastic grocery bag, not even a big one.
How many dollars?
$1 million in $100 bills
How many
fits
is
Yeah, I know.
into a grocery bag.
$300 bill?
So,
$100 bill.
I don't actually know. Well, I mean, you can figure it out. So $1 million, it'd be 1,000. It'd be 10,000.
10,000.
Which, so there's, no.
No, that's a lot. It'd be so
Wait,
fun.
it is a lot.
There's 10,000 $100 bills. But, so a stack of copier paper is 500
Some
sheets.
people are made by
Right.
system that they can make that.
So just think about how that would fit neatly into it. Like, you get 1,000 of
Let's
those.
have that done too. Well, if they'll pay like this.
You could fit $1 million into a grocery
There's
store.
one lady that-
$1 billion.
yeah, I know. And then that's just gonna feel like an hour
It's-
counting of ones and twenties.
$1 billion would be
No, like,
$100 bills.
There's like these
Like, it's
pot
$1
growers,
bills.
these
It's
pot
just-
growers, it's like $1 bills, $5 bills, $10 bills, $20 bills, a couple hundreds.
Well, she just does it for
Oh.
20s, a couple 20s and lots of hundreds.
So $1 billion fits on would be 1,000 grocery sacks. So that would fit on a pallet.
How
4 by 4 by
You're like, how high?
just 4. You fit on a pallet. $1 billion would fit on a pallet. $100.
Actually,
And,
showed up.
$1 trillion
$1
is
trillion
the same,
is-
just double stack.
$1 trillion is well known.
Yep.
$1 billion is 1,000 pallets.
Really
So that was actually really far off.
1,000 pallets.
1,000 pallets of $1 billion.
I'm trying to think.
No, but-
How thick
Yeah,
are
yeah. When we were at Bible school the last
Like
time,
pallets. These are 4 foot by 4 foot by 4
the
foot.
guy
pallets.
came and was telling
So
them
that
about
means-
money and stuff, and he said that, I think it was $1 trillion, was on a bunch of 4 by 4 pallets, the same as that, it would just,
Well, they double stacked it and went 500 long or whatever. Like,
yeah,
yeah. But
sounds right.
well, there was a visual of it, but no, you were not right. You were wrong. It takes 1,000 billions to make a trillion, which is why it's just an
Too bad.
astronomically huge number.
Like,
And then our national debt is, I think it's like almost 20 trillion.
No,
So,
it's
like,
over 20
Is it
trillion.
over 20 trillion now?
Yes.
It's like we were watching it and it's like going up. Yeah, we were just watching it go
You
up.
should look it
So
up on your
discouraging.
computer,
Never look at
and
that.
we can watch it.
It's just steadily
Go
just
higher?
going up. Yeah.
Oh.
Like, what are they?
Like, it
Just
moves
running
so
up.
Like,
fast.
Trump was
Like
kind
some
of bad
of
of
those
Yeah,
airplanes
just
or
like
Biden,
U.S. national debt.
I like we could just, the US could just keep
Joe Biden.
giving this national debt. for the
Real-time
next
debt
generation
clock.
I know.
Until Jesus comes back and we want to pay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ah.
and then until then, it's
I want to
like
see it. What is it?
hundreds of trillions.
29 trillion.
Is it going?
Okay.
29 trillion, 11 billion, 162 million. And I can't count. Oh, here, hang on. We're gonna hit another million. I'll tell you about how often we spend another million in this country. There's another 100,000.
Oh my word.
It's like 100,000.
Oh my word. Oh my word.
Another 100,000.
What are they buying?
It just touches
Another
bronze.
100,000.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch
Pick me
it.
up.
I wanna see it.
I want to see this.
Okay, I gotta see this.
No, I don't want to watch.
No.
I
Just go
Well,
there.
the last time I
100,000.
watched it, that's been 2 years ago.
100,000.
It's just kind of discouraging.
Okay, way
Like
discouraging. Oh my word.
100,000.
It just won't quit there.
It would.
If it stopped, it would be like
We did it last
something
year.
The national
major.
debt per citizen
Under its computer, we watched
is
it.
$87,093. Per taxpayer is $229,000. That means that only 1 out of every 3 people in the U.S. pays taxes.
What a country to live. One out of every 3. I don't pay taxes.
It's time for
You know that video, the restaurant of life? It's like, there's like, one of them around with wisdom. There's this old guy, this young guy. He's like, come around with wisdom. Free charge. Is there a restaurant of life? And then there's like, everyone actually with that.
and our national debt. Anyway, so that's fun. It's all fun and games. No, it was 8 years ago. Our national debt per taxpayer was only $6,000. Felt very mad at it.
But the FBI or one of those things did spend like 16 million on trying to get cats to spy on the
Yeah,
Soviet Union.
that was back in the day. So that's
In the
It all the cats like free.
It was like 1.7
It was a lot of
dollars
money.
they budgeted for some Black Lives Matter. Mark, like I said. All right, Christy, this is your time to shine.
Oh, thank you for this day. Thank you for doing the AP because we talked to cops really well and I heard it with our families really well. Please, I'll say that. Thank you for the great people and help us do the things in Jesus' name.
Amen. Lisa?
By the time I'm 30,
Yeah. well,
that's gonna
It's gonna be like.
It went up 5 trillion. So, by the time
Well, like,
you're
do you see how fast it was going? It was just like boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom.
Well, I mean, if they're spending 100,000 every,
Or like 3
20 or 30
seconds.
seconds, or whatever it is.
Basically
So
every 3 seconds or
what
whatever.
can they do about it?
just downright
What can they do about it? They can quit spending.
We would die.
And also they can start exporting. So things that they do, in order for a government to make money, they have to, first of all, they have to quit spending as much as they are on useless garbage. And second of all, they have to start exporting goods rather than importing everything.
Well, are they
Then
spending?
people would have to work more than they
So
do.
like,
Export, you can do hay.
you can export hay.
Yeah, well,
you
That's
can
what my
export
father
fuel.
does. And your father.
When President Trump was, when Trump was president, we were exporting petroleum. And that is a very good thing to export because it is really high and really expensive. And if you export more gas than you import, then it's a net win for the country as far as we make money. So we just have to figure out what to export. So hay is one thing.
When Bill Clinton
We can export each other.
enemies.
You start exporting.
Lisa, how would you like to go live in
China.
I'd rather live in
Gonna
Australia.
load you up and send you over there. Start with what? Slave trade
There's
again.
someone I know over there, actually more than one person. 4.
There is a slave trade today.
Really? Where?
If you look it up, it says the worldwide slave trade,
It's more profitable now than it ever was before.
and it literally there's just places from like people just following slaves like all over the place. Like it's not over. Tons of places.
Did you hear that island that they shut down?
Yeah. Epstein's Island?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they would like get little children and like drink their blood or whatever.
Oh, they would do
Like they freak the kids out like till they're basically petrified, and then they drink their blood and it's like sends you on a high. And they wanted Justin Bieber to go, but he didn't. Like that, we were talking about it because we were asking somebody if they listened to him. He's like, no, I can't remember what he said, but then he started talking about it. It's actually kind of smart, but
What's kind of smart?
Justin Bieber for not going to that island. Like,
I want to go.
It was more, I thought it was more sex trafficking,
well, like yeah,
but